Hi, this is Not the Girl Next Door show, and I have Rosabella on the line with us. How are you guys today?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good. Could you guys tell us a little bit of, introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about the band?
Absolutely. My name is Boyes. I play bass and sing backups.
And I'm Sean, and I play rhythm guitar.
So we've been playing together for quite some time. Sean was actually in the band before I joined. So Rosabella goes back a bit, but we've had a couple lineup changes. We've been together for, I don't even know how long now. How long do you think we've been since I've been in the band? 5, 7? It's been a long time.
Yes, somewhere in there.
So where are you guys? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I think I've been doing this with our lead singer for about 12 years, and then with you boys probably like 7, something like that.
That sounds right.
So where are you guys from, and how is the rock music, we'll call it a scene even though that's a generic word, how is the scene where you guys are? Is it inundated, or is there not a lot of rock bands where you guys are? How is it?
We're in Baltimore, and I think right now it's pretty decent. You know, everything goes through lulls with scenes, as it were. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of good bands around here, and still a pretty decent amount of venues, both big and small. So I think it's pretty good.
Now, describe your music to listeners who have maybe never heard the band before. Describe your sound, and maybe tell us about some of your musical influences who have helped shape who you are as Rosabella.
Oh, man. That's going to be a long list of bands.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think we all kind of have our own style that we bring to the table to make the band that we are. I know one of the bands that we all definitely agree on, we all are really big fans of Incubus. Uh-huh. We've covered a few of their songs in the past. And, I mean, for me personally, I grew up listening to a lot of Breaking Benjamin and Seven Dust and Stained, heavier bands, I guess. I consider them heavier bands, but they still have very hooky melodic choruses. Right. So that's kind of where I come from.
Yeah, I think everybody listens to a lot of different stuff. I know myself, I have a pretty eclectic taste. The only thing I don't really listen to is country, but that doesn't go for the other guys in the band. I know my lead singer, Anthony, is a big country fan. I don't know that there's anything that anybody in the band doesn't like, which I think is good because it always adds a little different flavor because you never know what kind of influence is going to hit you when you're writing.
And, you know, I know when you guys caught it because you said something the other day when I was talking about you guys. I hear, like, a Daughtry, Chris Daughtry. When American Idol first came out, when he was on it, and I followed him pretty regularly, and then I followed his band when he first came out, and I really liked their sound and the melodic rock and that kind of stuff, but then he kind of strayed away from that a little bit, and I didn't, like, stay with the band and stick as a fan, even though I like some of his older stuff, and I think that's who I kind of, you know, compare your lead singer's sound, and even the guitar riffs, too. There's a lot of guitar riffs in there, and I'm like, holy cow, that's really Daughtry-esque, and trust me, I mean that as a compliment, even if you don't like the band, because I know Daughtry's one of those bands that either love them or you hate them, or maybe you're a little bit in between, but, you know, but that's a little bit of down.
For sure. That's one we've gotten before, and I think we nobody has a problem with it, you know, and we're kind of just like you put it, at a certain time, Daughtry at a certain time, which is definitely a compliment.
Definitely. Now, how do you guys, when you guys write music or produce music or get a song thrown together, how does the process work? Does one person do the writing? Do you guys all chime in, or how does the whole musical thing work for you guys?
So I think it's worked a number of ways. We've definitely experimented with different writing styles. So our singer, who also plays acoustic guitar, will write a song, and then we'll make a point to kind of jump in and write around what he's already written, or the lyrics or the melodies that he's already created, or somebody else in the band might come in with a guitar riff, and if everybody likes it, that'll be kind of the starting point. Or, you know, maybe if there's a keyboard in the room, we'll play something on that, and everybody will turn their head and think, oh man, that sounded great. Maybe that could be start to a new song or something like that. I think usually in the beginning we try to create a foundation for the song, whoever starts it, whether it's a group kind of thing or if it's just one person bringing in a riff. And after that, it becomes a pretty collaborative process. I think everybody adds their 2 cents to the song or the idea that we're trying to create, and I think that's a good way to do it. I think it's worked really well for us, and I think that's what makes us sound the way we sound. I don't think we sound just like one of the members of the band. I think we all really have an opportunity to add our 2 cents to the collaborative process.
I would agree with that. I think another good thing too is that Anthony, our singer, has one of those minds that works a little different. Like as a bass player, I might hear a bass part. I don't always hear melody stuff right away, but Anthony has a really good brain for that, where he can kind of envision a whole song to himself. So if we're stuck at a part, he's really good at suggesting like, hey, try this, hey, try this. And I think that as long as everybody's kind of open, which I think we all are, nobody gets their feelings hurt. You know, if somebody says, hey, try this, or I don't really dig that, or I don't think it fits. I think it's writing songs, if it's not going to be all done by one person, it's definitely important that everybody's open to suggestions, and I think that really works well for us. So like Sean said, it's definitely a collaborative effort.
So let's talk about the newest song you guys have out, and that's the one that I have been playing on the show, and that's Marjorie. And you guys have a music video for it. Could you talk about the song and maybe what it's about and what it was like doing the music video for the song?
Sure. We I wish Anthony was here for this because that was one of the songs that he was a big part of. Marjorie, of course, means mother in Spanish. Anthony lost his mom a while back, and the song for him, obviously these are just my words, not his, but I think it's anybody who's suffered a loss, when you're looking back, you try to remember all the good that somebody has instilled in your life, and his mom was a big part of his life, and she was just a great, great woman. And I think to him it's just about looking back and saying, thank you for always being there, thank you for instilling all these strong values in me. And, kind of when you hit those tough times in your life and you have somebody to turn to, whether they're here or whether it's just memories from the past, it's a good thing. And I think we all need that.
Definitely. I agree. And I think it's something listeners can identify with, too. I mean, even though it's obviously, about his mom or, the title, but people can identify with it, because everybody has suffered a loss or in many ways whatsoever. So I think it's very identifiable. And
for sure, yeah.
Now,
I think it's good, too, that people can take stuff from it. That's, to me, like as a listener, not just as a musician. You don't always, a song might speak to you in a way that it was not intended when it was written, and I think that's the really cool thing about music is it's something different to everyone. And
I agree most definitely. Now, I have been told by bands that when they do music videos that it's kind of cringeworthy sometimes. I mean, you have fun with it, but it's such a lot of hard work that goes into, making music videos. Was that your experience for this music video, or how did that go in making the video for the song?
I don't think this music video was all that terrible, honestly. I think it was pretty straightforward. We came up with what we thought was a pretty high-level, broad storyline, something that we thought went well with the music, and then it took, we had 2 sessions with Matt Gishel, who did the video. We had one session where we just shot the band and we did a video shoot with a black backdrop, and we were on a stage, and that was for all the band shots. And then we had a separate day, and that was all for more of the storyline. And we had our actors and the entire band all met up at a friend's house. And, it probably took a good portion of the day, but it was pretty straightforward. I think as long as you come prepared and you have a basic idea of what the storyline is and you just kind of go with it, it's not too bad. It was a cool experience.
Yeah, it worked out well. Videos can be cringeworthy for sure, but we have not had that experience. This is the second one we've done. It's been a gap between the first one and this one with getting the rest of the music out and figuring out which song was best. And just like writing music, the whole video concept was pretty collaborative. We went kind of back and forth about ideas, and then all of a sudden, like, something Eric had said made me think of an idea, which then made Anthony think of an idea, and Sean figuring. And I mean, it was really just like a domino effect of, like, that's a great idea. What if we do that plus this? And Matt Gishel was really great really easy to talk to about it. He agreed with the vision, and like Sean said, it was, 2 days. 2 long days, but 2 good days of putting everything together. So we're glad that it came out the way it did.
So you guys do all this promotion, all of the writing, all this hard work you put into it. When you get out and you get on stage and you guys perform at a show, how does it feel when you see people singing your songs and, jamming out to your music and all that hard work is, like, worth it and it comes to fruition? How do you guys feel when you actually get a chance to put it all together and play on stage?
That's a good question. I'm going to defer to Sean because I play with a hat over my eyes, so I don't ever see anyone, so I'm going to let him handle this.
Sure.
Well, I don't want to put words in anyone else's mouth in the band, but I think that's a big part of why we all do this. I think we want to write so that people can enjoy the music and relate to, take Marjorie for example. Like you said, you can kind of relate to that, and I think a lot of people can. Everybody's had to unfortunately go through a loss and struggle at some point in their life, and so when we're playing shows and we see people enjoying the music and then singing along, I think that's a big part of why we do this, and also why we go into the studio and why we try to write new material as often as we can and stay fresh. I think everybody in the band kind of has the thing they like to do most in the band. Some people like to play shows, some people like going to the studio, but ultimately it's so that people can hear our music, enjoy our music, and relate.
Most definitely. It's obviously, songs can be an emotional time. Like when you guys write a song, it can be something that happened bad or something that happened that's sad. And sometimes when you go up on stage, do you have to kind of take yourself out of the equation as being in a band and feeling a certain way when you wrote a song as compared to maybe that's not how you feel anymore? And do you feel like you're going through the motions, or does it bring back, how does it feel when, you guys go to perform and you've been through the motions of writing this sad song or this happy song, or do you guys identify with it, or do you're just going up there, you're performing this music for the fans, and you kind of shut all those emotions off, or is it a mix?
It's probably a mix, for sure. Like I said, the reason I play with a hat over my eyes is because I like to feel everything. I don't necessarily need to see it. You can hear crowd interaction. I can feel the energy of all the guys I'm on stage with, and I can feel all the songs that we've written together kind of coming through my fingers, so to speak, as far as bass playing goes. So I think it is definitely probably a bit of both. I'm sure there's some songs that, no matter what, no matter how many times you play them, there's going to be a little something in it that reminds you of something, especially if that song was based off of something that you had gone through. Right. So definitely a mix of both. It's always good to be able to feel both the guys you're performing with and the people you're performing for. So I think you always have to remind yourself it's not always about you. It's about people that are coming to see you and the experience that they're going to take away from it and what they're going to feel from what you're giving them.
Definitely. Now, since you guys have performed together before, do you guys have any crazy fan stories or concert or show stories that you can tell us about that have maybe happened at a show or when you guys were together, maybe even in the studio? Any crazy music band stories you can tell us at all?
I wish we don't have any good stories like that. I
can't think of anything now.
Yeah, I think we've been lucky to have really, really loyal fans and a lot of people that have been supportive over the years, especially when we've had downtime from either working on albums or working through drummer changes that we've had to go through. People have always been good about sticking with us and asking, like, what's going on. And sometimes you hit those lulls when you kind of forget because you're so busy that you kind of forget to engage the people that are so looking at it. And I think Jeremy, who's our drummer now, has been integral in getting that out there and saying, like, hey, we are still here. Hey, this is what we have going on. This is the music we have. And getting everything rolled out, he's been a huge, huge help in that respect for all of us. So I don't think we have any crazy stories. I kind of wish we did. I'm sure, or maybe we don't remember them. Who knows?
That's probably it. Yeah.
So if you guys could build the ultimate tour to go out on, speaking to anybody that's out there, anybody who may not even be around anymore, who would you want to go on the ultimate tour with, anywhere, with anyone?
Oh, wow. That is a killer question. For me, a perfect circle. Like, if I was going with a band, I would want to go with them.
I would enjoy that.
Sean and I would like to go with the perfect circle. Incubus, for sure. Yeah, like, I mean, bands that have been going around, you know, doing stuff for a while, and they're so good. And bands that, I say them because those are bands that I've seen live that just blew me away at how good they sound. And how true to form they are to some album stuff. I mean, some bands do stuff different ways. A lot of bands use tracks, and that's fine. You know, it's all about, like I said, the experience that you're giving to your fans, and you want everybody to hear and feel everything that they expect to when they come and see you. But I've seen some bands that were just raw and, you know, just music and voices, and just knocked me off my feet. So those would be two bands. Do you guys
see that a lot? I mean, you just made me think of that. Do you guys see a lot of people like using backtracks or tracks for things and not being raw, or is that like a common thing that there's some kind of track backing or whatever you want to call it that bands use these days when they perform live? Do you guys see people performing absolutely raw live like as expected?
I think it probably depends on how often they play. To be quite honest with you, you know, if you're playing 4 to 5 times a week, like it can wreck you. And I would never say that I would never use backing tracks or anything like that. Or maybe, you know, there's going to be a show that I just don't have it. And from a disappointing your fan standpoint, I hope to never do that. But I haven't, you know, I've seen a mix. I've seen bands both recently and quite some time ago that I was like, oh my gosh, they sound incredible. And I think the first time I had ever heard that, I was talking to one of the other guys that I was there with, and they're like, oh man, did you see their rig? They have all the tracks, and I had no idea what that was. I was like, what do you mean they have tracks? And I just think it's really about what you choose to portray. I mean, tracks can be integral. You could have synth tracks, for instance. Like Sean writes a lot of synth stuff for us, but he can't play synth or play keyboards and guitar at the same time.
Right,
so,
understandable.
You know, in situations like that, it could be necessary, but it's probably, you know, different band to band.
I guess I was more like, I've been going to shows since I was 17, and I'm a little bit older, so I've been going to shows for a while. And I think the first time, I'm so naive when it comes to music because I'm such a big music fan that I, like you said, I can understand, like, okay, there's keyboard in the song and, you know, there anything like the synth tracks or anything like that. That's completely understandable. But I've heard bands tell me about other bands that just completely, like, they're not even plugged in when they're not even playing. And it's like, what? Are you kidding me? I feel like a little kid. Like, I'm so naive all these years that me too, when I went to especially bigger shows, you know, I go to a lot of smaller shows now, but like, especially going to bigger shows, and I thought, oh my gosh, I never even pondered the fact that this isn't quote,
you never think about what's behind the curtain. And that's good sometimes. You know, you got to suspend that disbelief and just kind of enjoy what you're there for.
Yeah.
Exactly. I agree. I've spent a lot more, you know, time going to smaller shows where the past couple of years where it wouldn't even be possible for me not to know. So, I mean, I guess I was more surprised than I was disappointed. I was more surprised that it happened as much as it did than anything. So.
Yeah, surprised but not disappointed would be a good way to describe it. It's kind of one of those things where you're like, when you find out how something works that you didn't know, and you're like, oh, that's how that works. Okay. Well, I mean, it's still the same end product, and I still dig it, but I did not know that.
Takes the magic out of it.
Yeah, it can a little bit.
Well, I do have to say, I know it's probably easier for most bands in the studio to convey their sound like they want it to and to perfect it. And, you know, I am not that kind of person that if I see a band performing and you know that it's not 100%, I'm like, oh God, they suck. Not at all. Because, I mean, if you think back to Lane Staley and how he was on Unplugged, and how many times he messed up on that show, you know, and it's like no one ever looked at him any different. But it's like I am let down now when I see bands that you hear their studio version and then I see them live and I'm like, oh, what was that? You know, I have to say that
absolutely.
there's one band out there that I was just like blown away. Like, are you kidding me? Like, he was like on point on those screams or those growls or whatever. And I know you can't always bring it all the time, but I don't know.
That's
I don't know.
funny. I feel like we may have just had the same conversation here. But the Alice in Chains thing is a really good example because that was also not everybody's as old as some of us in the band. So Anthony and I are the oldest, and you know we also have covered an Alice in Chains song here or there. And I think that Unplugged is a great example because that to me, seeing those flubs and having him just start over, that to me like that made it all so worthwhile and made it so much more. I don't know, just real.
Authentic. It was more authentic.
Yeah.
Even though I seriously didn't know, and this is my nativity right now, you know, shining through, and I've told this story before, but, like, that's another thing that kind of clues into what we just spoke about relatability in songs. I had no clue as a teenager that Lane Staley he had a heroin habit. No clue that the songs were blatantly about that because I didn't know about that stuff. And, you know, to look back now as an adult, and it's like, wow, those lyrics were clear and blatant, and he came out and said it, you know. But I had no clue at the time, you know. And he was clearly struggling at that Unplugged at points. And it, like you said, that was fine. That was absolutely fine. And that's actually my favorite Unplugged session absolutely ever.
That might be mine too. That's why I said it's sometimes you have to remind yourself that you're not on stage for you and you're there for other people. And I think that's a perfect example of that.
Yeah. So what does Rosabella have going on for the rest of 2019? Any new music being released? Any new videos? You guys have any tours or upcoming things we're doing this spring or summer, or anything you can tell us about?
Yeah, we have probably a little bit of all that. Tours, maybe not. I'm not sure. That's gonna be a maybe.
We'll get back to you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Gonna have to keep you posted on that. Okay. New music, absolutely. So we had a show. What was that? About 2 weeks ago now, Sean?
Yep.
And another one of Jeremy's good ideas was that the album that we finally finished called Timeless that Marjorie is off of, we sold it there. Had it there for everyone, but only at that show. So it's not actually being fully released till later down the road. So some people got a little bit of a sneak peek at the entire album. But what we've been doing is putting out a song every couple of weeks or so. We have a lyric video for a previously unreleased song in the works that should be done pretty soon. And then we're looking to book shows. So if anybody wants us to play somewhere, let us know.
Yeah.
We're trying to space it out, you know, not do too many close to home, kind of branch out a bit and do a bit of traveling if we can, when we can. So, yeah, we've constantly writing, I think, as most bands do. You come up with an idea, and if you let it sit for too long, it might not become something. Sometimes ideas might sit for a while, and somebody just revisits them, and they end up being a song. So because we're always kind of constantly thinking and writing and creating, the music will never stop. So hopefully the answer will always be yes, we will have new music for you.
Now, where can people find what you have out now? Do you have a website? Do you have merch? Where can people find all of your stuff online?
So right now, Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook, and actually our website, just rosabellamusic.com, will redirect to our Facebook. On Instagram, we are Rosabella Baltimore. And Jeremy is on top of both of those, keeping everybody updated. We do have merch. It's not online, but we would happily let anybody know if they had any questions. We respond to messages pretty quick on Facebook, and we can get stuff shipped out to you if need be.
Got some stuff on Spotify, too.
Oh, yeah. See, after that quick.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. Come back anytime with new music. If you guys have tour announcements or show announcements, come back anytime. Give me an update about what's going on. I thank you guys for coming on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will say sending our love from Jeremy and Anthony and Eric, who couldn't be here but very much wanted to. So we all very much appreciate you having us on.
Thank you so much, guys.